Roll intro.
Hello awful friends, and welcome to another vlog about filmmaking. This time we're going to talk about editing. Editing is one of the most powerful and overlooked tools in all filmmaking. Editing can save a bad performance, can make something that seems slow and dull on the set seem interesting and exciting when it's actually put together on screen. Editing is also a very rewarding thing because you are the first person who sees the entire project come together. You actually assemble the video or the vlog.
That's why I like it. Something that a lot of people are afraid to do when they're editing something is to get rid of something that they like. I'm still very guilty of this. If there's a particular shot that you took a long time to get and you wanted to make sure that that is the shot you had in the sequence and then you put it in and it doesn't work, that hurts. My favourite phrase is murder your darlings. Don't think about it in pieces, think about the entire thing in general. If it doesn't work in sequence, if it doesn't make the pace better, if it slows it down or chops it up, it has to go. A lot of people will talk about editing programs. What software do you use? What this do you use? What that? A
bad worker always blames his tools. This is relevant in any field. If Eric Clapton plays on my guitar and I play on Eric Clapton's guitar, I still bet you that Eric Clapton's going to sound a little bit better than I do.
Only a little bit.
Little bit. Tiny bit. Editing is often about understanding what's important and knowing what to cut. Any editing program has a cut tool.
If you know the way it should be put together, then you know how to edit. That's about editing. It's not about what you use, it's about how you use it. There are lots of different techniques that you can use as well. For example, motion. Editing on motion is a very easy thing.
Another technique is overlapping footage and not being afraid to overlap audio. It's important not to just always have straight cuts when the next person starts talking. Leave in reaction shots. Have that person's dialogue overlap. Begin to hear the next person speaking before you cut to it. It just makes things flow nicer and it often helps for the pace as well. It just makes things seem more natural. It's also relevant in vlogs.
The trick with vlogs is to get rid of all the unnecessary pauses and just make sure that everything flows nicely. Keeping the people engaged. There's unnecessary silence. You're not waiting for anybody to respond. You're literally doing all the conversation. So it needs to be snappy. It needs to keep people engaged with what you're saying. I like to undercut the audio and overlap the video, which is something called a J-cut, if you want to get all official termy, which means that you would underlie some of the audio from the next clip.
Part of the reason I think that editing is so overlooked is because really good editing is the kind of editing you don't notice, because it's in service of the story. When was the last time you came out of a film and went, man, the editing was great in that? Usually you don't, because if it's a well-edited film, you didn't notice the editing, because it just felt natural to you.
Everything on YouTube is an experiment. Actually, forget that. Everything you will ever make creatively is an experiment. But everything is about moving forward and making the next project better. So with editing, that's the same thing. Make sure you be creative with editing. Don't ever just kind of put things in order and assume that's what it is. No, you have to make sure that you're doing what you're creating justice.
Let's face it, if you're a YouTuber, you probably spend time writing it, shooting it, and then editing it. You don't want to spend most of your editing time trying to brighten shots that were too dark. Try and make sure that when you shoot things, you get it as right as you possibly can, and you will save yourself a nightmare in the edit. Sometimes when you spend too much time on an edit, it can become exhausting and you'll lose sight of the overall picture. You'll lose sight of whether or not something's working. If you watch a bad cut 5 times, it becomes a good cut. Next time it will be about writing and development of your ideas. That was a suggestion in the comments of the last filmmaking vlog, so that will be the next one. Any topics and suggestions you have for future videos on filmmaking, let me know in the comments. And
roll outro!
Outro!
Oh, hello. You've caught me editing. And that is today's subject, children.